and you end up losing your money. So that is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, people look at it as it is very, very expensive to hire lawyers. Well, I think it's more expensive not to hire them, because you're going to lose your money first if you do not, and then you're going to pay the lawyers to try and get your money back, which is more.
Your Honor, my name is Brian Mwenda. Brian Mwenda. I'm on record. I would like to bring the court to the attention of the affidavit, the supporting affidavit of CIP Kate Kemboi, Rob. And I go straight to number 4. To number 4. It indicates paragraph 4. He says that on the 20th of July 2023, the 3 accused persons were arrested at Kiseri. I would like to correct, I would like to indicate to have the court note that that is incorrect. Our clients were arrested on 19th.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Today's true crime story is a very funny one, although it's serious. Now, wherever you find yourself across the world watching this, I believe that the legal profession in your country has a method to it. I don't think anybody can just get up and become a lawyer. Yeah, let me know how it is in the comment section in your country. But as I've known across several countries, if you want to be a lawyer, at least you would have to get a law degree, and then you'd have to go on to maybe law school or an institute of a sort, come out, pass the bar, be called to the bar, yadi yadi yadi. Let me know if it's different or similar in your jurisdiction. But a man has been arrested in Kenya, in Africa, and this man is actually a lawyer, or should I say, he was taught to be a lawyer, or he carried himself as a lawyer. This man actually took on 26 cases and won all of them in court. He argued and battled out 26 legal cases in court as a lawyer, and he won all those 26 cases. So his track record is 26-0. He won 26 cases in court against legitimate lawyers, only for him to be later busted as being a fake lawyer. Now, this man's name is Brian Mwenda Njagi, and this story is so sensational and very interesting, because in my research I was wondering how this guy was able to do it. Because obviously, if you are going to impersonate a lawyer and go to the extent of entering a courtroom to go and cross-examine people and battle out cases, that is a tall order, because in that conversation you have police coming in, because there will be a process before the case actually ends up in court. You'll be taking on clients, and if you are taking on clients, the case, obviously some of them may be civil, but some of them might also be criminal related. And if there are criminal cases, the police would come in. So what were they checking? Or was all the focus or on the parties in the case, and the lawyers were never checked out? I just don't understand. But well, I did my research, and according to what I found, he had no legal qualification at all. Brian Mwenda Njagi didn't have any form of legal education or qualification. So it wasn't as though maybe he went to law school, maybe he passed, or even he failed, and he is trying to use his knowledge gained to sort of make some money pretending to be a lawyer. And it's not like even in him pretending to be a lawyer, maybe he's not going to court, but he's just maybe sort of facilitating certain transactions and posing off as a lawyer. That is not what this guy was doing. He has no legal education. He has no legal background. He has never been to any law school. He has never had any form of law education. and he just got up and said that he is a lawyer. People didn't do their due diligence. They took him at his word, they bought into it, and they just signed him on for his services. He put this up for 3 years, and in those 3 years, he took on 26 cases, and he won all those 26 cases against legitimate lawyers. And this is where it's funny, because let's take the typical African country and its journey to become a lawyer. Ideally, you would have to do about 4 years in law as a degree, and then if you pass out, you may have to go to the law school for maybe about 2 years. So let's say estimated maybe around 6 years or 5.5 to 6 years. You then probably pass the bar. You may have to do sort of an internship of a bit with a law firm before you come out and then, find your feet. So roughly maybe about 7 years. I'm just using one African country's legal system I know. You can let me know how it works in yours. But roughly about 7 years to become a lawyer. This guy got up, he didn't have any of that. But then he started pretending he's a lawyer, and he entered the courtroom and he took on lawyers, legitimate lawyers who have actually gone through this cycle, and he beat them 26 times. Not just once, not twice, not thrice, not 4 times, 5 times, 6. No, a whooping 26 times. This guy beat all the legitimate lawyers in 26 cases. So, I don't know. This is not to chastise or belittle those lawyers, but I think this might cast a sort of shadow on their expertise or on their competence, although some cases are doomed to lose. But if you are being beaten in court by a fake lawyer who has never had any form of legal education, that puts a question mark on you, especially if you are also trying to say that you are a legitimate lawyer. Then how come you got beaten by the fake lawyer? That's on the lighter side, but I think it's a valid question. Although the other side of the coin could have also been that although Brian didn't have any official legal education, he might have been studying on his own. And with the knowledge he gained, he was able to tailor them to the cases that he took on, and he was able to beat these legitimate lawyers. In this day and era, there are so many things that you can learn even without going to the classroom or going to a school. Let's take, for example, YouTube. There is a friend of mine who actually tells me that YouTube is like the biggest university in the world. And I agree with him, because you can get almost every form of knowledge from YouTube. You can actually sit and improve your life, learning new skills, new knowledge, and new wisdom from YouTube videos. So I am not so surprised that he was able to get himself educated in the annals of the legal intricacies of the Kenyan legal system. But my surprise is how he was able to, without any official legal background and education, beat 26 legitimate lawyers in court. Now, he has been arrested and he has been charged with fraud and impersonation. And I don't know, but personally, I feel that he may not win the cases that will be leveled against him per these charges, because per the actions he took over these 3 years, it sort of ridicules the Kenyan legal authority or the Kenyan legal system, because he has come in without any of their highly revered credentials, and he has come to topple the mystique around the legal profession. And I don't think that would make the gatekeepers happy. So if his case is also going to end up in court, I don't know how unbiased even the judge is going to be. Practically, this is my thought, my opinion, because that whoever will sit on the case as a judge is also within the legal fraternity, whom these guys' actions have sort of ridiculed. So how is it going to be? And even if a jury will be constituted, maybe that might be an advantage to the guy. I don't know. But I feel that this guy is in for a long ride. If his case goes to court, it's going to be something else. Now, a wealthy man in Kenya has actually offered to sponsor this guy through law school now, because he has the potential, and obviously he has proven it. If this guy should eventually be able to go to law school and pass the bar, I don't think he's going to have a problem getting clients, because he has even beaten the legitimate lawyers at the point where he didn't even have any legal education. So you can imagine what he will do when he ends up going through the legitimate system. And I still believe that he's not going to get off that lightly, because there are deep and serious legal implications to what he has done. One, what is going to happen to those cases that he won? Because he peddled himself off as a legitimate lawyer, but it turns out he's fake. So are those cases going to be recalled? If yes, how is it going to affect the parties in that case? Some of the verdicts of those cases may have had ripple effects on other circumstances of people's lives. Some may have involved sale of assets, some may have involved inheritance, some may have even involved crime and judgments on crime. So how is this going to affect the parties involved in those 26 cases? And I think that although it is funny that Brian was able to pull this off, I think there could be serious implications for him, because those clients, to an extent, could come back and even bring suits against him. Yeah, because he has misrepresented himself to them. And that is also an offense. So in as much as the Kenyan legal authority is taking him on, his old clients, or the clients that he took on in those 26 cases, could also bring an action against him. Now, this was what the Legal Society of Kenya put out. Specifically, it came from their Nairobi bench, and they put this out on X, that's formerly Twitter, on just this 12th of October 2023. And this is what it reads. Notice, it has been brought to the attention of the LSK Nairobi branch through the Rapid Action Team that the above pictured person has been presenting and conducting himself as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a member of the LSK Nairobi bench. The branch wishes to notify all members of the society and of the public that Brian Mwenda Njagi is not an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. From the society's records, neither is he a member of the branch. And this is interesting. Honestly, this is very, very interesting, because there are methods to this issue, and this guy probably wouldn't have even been caught, because he had been doing it for 3 years. But then his house of cards, his scheme, the ploy he was, selling to people, came crashing down when he dared to represent former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga. Now, a viral video of his courtroom address went crazy on social media, and this was what forced the LSK to dig into his credentials. He took on this high-profile case. So, what if he hadn't, and he was just sticking to low-profile cases? He would have probably still been practicing. And I think this is testament to the need for some of these countries, or the legal systems of some of these countries, to set up a framework where the due diligence is not just with the case, but it's also with the people that are partaking in the legalities of the case. So the lawyer has to be authenticated because he could be impersonated. He could be impersonated, especially if he's not a popular lawyer. And that's what this guy was doing. He was actually impersonating somebody else. And nobody knew. And I think for this to be perpetrated against the legal society, it puts a dent in the whole thing. It puts a dent in the whole thing. And the legal ramifications are also serious because there are ripple effects from this, like I mentioned earlier. People's lives may change. People may have to relive the trauma they've been through at trial and the verdicts from those trials because the lawyer they signed up on, or the lawyer they signed up with, or the lawyer they went against in court turns out to be fake. So I'm not sure how this will play out with regards to the past cases that this guy took on and won. But I think that legally, questions may come up that may have to be answered as far as these cases are concerned. And I don't know if his misrepresentation of himself is going to affect his client, especially in situations where the client can prove that he or she didn't know that this lawyer was fake. So I think this is a case that might end up testing the legal system in Kenya. And I'm hoping other countries will take a cue from this and start putting controls in place to be able to authenticate people who present themselves as legal counsels, present themselves as various officials facilitating the legal process, and even in other jurisdictions as well, and other industries, because nowadays, some people can just do anything. So you don't want to just take things on people's words or what people have written. You are better off served going down to confirm. And still, it still baffles me as to how he was able to beat these 26 legitimate lawyers. And I'm sure they will probably be rejoicing knowing that he's actually fake. But I think that even adds to the disgrace, if any, or the ridicule, if any, because then it's now even confirmed that you were beaten by a fake lawyer. I think the stocks of those lawyers who lost to him might be adversely affected, although I don't think it's fair. Because like I said, there's so much knowledge out there now that people can actually get all this knowledge from the internet, YouTube, and other places without having to necessarily go through school and get a certificate to be recognized. And I wouldn't be surprised this guy may have had some form of exposure to a legally qualified person, and maybe he might have learned some few things from him. But we are waiting to see how this will play out, especially when the case goes to court. I'm sure that the judge might find it difficult not to be biased against him because what he has done is an affront to the whole legal profession in Kenya. And if he's going back in court to argue his own case out, I don't even know if he is going to now take a lawyer or he is going to represent himself. But either way, it is obvious that this young man, Brian Mwenda Injagi, has gone into the annals of the history books in Kenya for pulling off this. And he looks the part, so sharp, dashing, and looking dapper. This is interesting, but I think this is also feedback that every country needs to look at. I'm sure maybe in the more advanced countries, this might not be successful because they may have probably ways of authenticating who you say you are, even if you are a lawyer. And I think that is where everybody should be aiming towards. I'm following this case. I'll bring you the updates as and when they are due. But until then, just subscribe to our channel. If you are yet to do so, you turn on the post notifications, you leave a comment, and you share our videos. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you next time.